Okay. Go ahead, Richard.
Okay, this is the Committee of Adjustment meeting, scheduled to start at 9. It's 9:02. We'll call the meeting to order. Are there any additions or amendments to the agenda which you have before you? I have one that I want to include here. Maybe we can start with it, and we're certainly glad to have the Mayor Dumas with us this morning. And I'd ask that she be placed at 3B.
How about 3.1, Richard? To go with the rest of the numbers on the agenda. How's that?
Okay, that's fine then.
Yep.
Does anyone else have any additions or amendments? Could I ask for someone to adopt the agenda?
I will move it.
I'll second it.
Sound like moved by Joel, seconded by Dave then? There was
Yep.
two people speaking at once there.
Yep.
Sorry. Okay, thank you. Does anyone have a pecuniary interest to disclose? None noted? Okay, I would call on Mayor Dumas.
Thank you, Chair, very much. I have been asked to make the following statement on behalf of Council, so it is present and I will read it out. Mayor Dumas and the Council of the Township of South Algonquin regretfully acknowledge the resignation of our CAO Clerk Treasurer, Holly Hayes, effective mid-May. During her tenure as CAO Clerk Treasurer, Holly has exemplified her commitment to the growth and enhancement of our community through her dedication and vision of excellence in every aspect of her job. Holly has supported township staff in their work and encouraged them in expanding their skills and knowledge of working in the municipal environment. She has been diligent in ensuring the safety and well-being of each staff member during the ongoing COVID situation. As CAO Clerk Treasurer, Holly has worked closely with our local members of provincial and federal government and many government organizations, including our neighboring townships. As mayor, I have witnessed her professionalism and have received feedback on the respect that people have for her and her commitment to South Algonquin. Mayor Dumas and Council wish Holly all the best in her future plans and thank her for her excellent work for the township. Council will be proceeding immediately to begin the recruitment process to fill the vacancy. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Dave.
I'm sure all the members of council echo your message here this morning. So thanks, Holly. Okay. Now we have you all received the minutes from the previous meeting of November 25th for the Committee of Adjustment. Are there any questions regarding this or corrections? None noted. Could I get a mover to adopt these and a seconder?
I'll move it as Councillor
Moved by
Collins.
Sandra.
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded by Joel. Thank you. This is the public hearing for two consent applications, and at this time I would turn it over to Holly, who will guide us through this. And thank you, Holly, or to Tracy rather.
Hey, thanks, Richard. Sorry, I just needed a second that was a hard one for me to swallow. I'm going to miss Holly immensely.
I can certainly understand that.
Okay, so this is a public meeting for the Committee of Adjustment to consider two consent applications for severance under Section 53 of the Planning Act. The first application, if Holly, you can scroll down to that. Even just bring up that map. Can you go to the next one? Sorry.
Good.
That one's okay. Yep. This consent application was deferred from the Committee of Adjustment meeting on November 25th. So more information could be obtained in regards to the easement, which you can see in yellow. It's existing and it's benefiting landowners beyond that point, a landowner. The existing easement now will not be affected by this severance, and the severance application proposes to legally separate the existing development that is currently on the retained and the severed portion. And the retained lot will have approximately 1.8 hectares, 4.4 acres, and will contain existing dwelling, a cottage, septic, and a well. And the severed lot is to have a lot area of approximately 0.6 hectares, 1.4 acres, and contain one existing dwelling and well and a septic. Both of them have adequate frontage on Churchill Street, and they're locally known as 79A and B, knowing as the retained, and the severed would be 45 Churchill Street. There was no survey included with the application, so the dimensions of the acreage may be off just slightly, but it was pretty close, I believe. And so the requirements to hold this meeting is that there must be at least 14 days notice per the Planning Act, and notices were mailed to adjacent property owners within 60 meters on February 25th, and the notice signs were posted on the subject property by the applicant himself. And this has been confirmed that the signs were posted. The comments from the planners was outlined in the planner's report. There's no additional comments received from them afterwards. And I guess we'd move to, if everybody, I believe, is probably familiar with this application since it was on the table in November. Is that correct? Or does anybody have anything to add in regards to this? Hearing none. The applicant, I spoke to him on Monday. He's had a few questions about the zoning portion of it, and I had advised him at that point that the condition to have septics included to confirm that they're compliant may be added, and that's something that we can discuss a little later in the meeting. I received an email yesterday from MTO in support of the application, as long as there was no entrance going to be, actually they come right out and said that no entrance would be granted off of Highway 60. I kind of feel this is something that's going to be, and you'll see in the next one as well, is the same comments. And I feel that with the next one, I'll explain that a little further, but we're seeing that more where MTO is not granting entrances off of highways, their highways. So I guess it comes to where if there's any questions from the committee in regards to this application. None?
No, none on my behalf.
Okay, so per the conditions, there's some standard ones in here that the committee, in reviewing the subject application, determined it to be compatible with the area, consistent with the policies of the provincial policy statement and the township official plan, and that the application be approved subject to conditions. And these conditions include that the applicant provide the township with the original executed transfer, a duplicate and one copy, a copy of the reference plan that is substantially in compliance with the application to be deposited in the land registry office, and a schedule describing the severed parcel and naming the grantor and grantee attached to the transfer for approval process, payment of all municipal legal and planning fees associated with the processing of the application, that the proposed retained lot and severed lot and the existing development on the subject lands comply to the zoning bylaw. As you saw in the report, one of the severed lands is under the 1 hectare, so that will have to be complied with, and then any other buildings after the survey is done would have to be included in that survey or in that application as well to comply with the setbacks in the zoning bylaw. The fourth one is that the applicant meet all financial requirements of the township, including payment of all balance of any outstanding taxes, including penalties and interest to be paid. That is a standard one that we've been putting in. It's been requested by the CBO. This is our time to check any septic systems, existing ones that, and to make sure that they comply and are legal systems. So he's requested that we add that as a condition and that the applicant provide confirmation to the township that the existing septic systems are legal and in good working order to the satisfaction of the township. Any discussion?
Yes, Tracy, I have a question. How would the landowner get confirmation that his septic system is compliant? Especially, not so much in this case, because there was a municipal government in place when that was likely installed. But in the rest of the township, very likely there was no municipal government, and the permit maybe with the Renfrew County Health Department.
Yeah, so we received the Renfrew County septic systems. They're actually in a box, and we have to go through them to find or locate any of the septic systems that were done. I have started, when I have time, I go through them and put them. I think I've reached out to all of you to see who's who, because it went by the property owners of the day, not necessarily the roll numbers or the property descriptions. So I've been putting them in as I get them. There is a fee. It's a $50 fee for us to do a search ourselves. It's entirely up to you, but I think moving forward, it should be a standard item that's included as a condition. It was missed this time, and the committee has the right to add or delete conditions as they see fit. But moving forward, I believe it's very important that we do add these in. So it's up to the committee at this point.
Seems to me that the township already has the proof, and the property owner may not.
That's true. We may. I briefly looked, and I don't have anything on record for these. Again, that's not saying that they're not in a box somewhere that I have to go searching for. So we can let this one go. And like you said, we probably have the information, but it's the time that it takes to find the information, because I haven't gone through all the boxes to get to where I have them in a system where they're easy to access.
Tracy,
I
would
guess-
we not request an on-site investigation as well? Like, would someone not make
Yeah,
sure
like-
that they're,
Yeah,
ahead.
so Mike could easily go out and look to see if, that there's no leakage or everything seems to be working fine. Like, that's certainly done, can be done as well.
Or I think that the landowner could hire someone who is certified to install septics to do that on their behalf.
Yeah.
Richard here.
Seems to me that,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Richard.
No, go ahead, Joe. You had the floor.
It just seems to me that it would be maybe more concern to the property owner than the township. That's all I have, Richard. You go ahead.
Okay, I guess when I look at this, and I circulated some comments, maybe it was late, but it was kind of late coming in regarding such. And how do we can do exactly as requested, put a condition in that's before us. But when I look around at our township, if someone so we'll take a water access property, or maybe a property that doesn't have a system at the present time. They're using the old traditional outhouse. In order for them to get a severance, it would mean, like, they wouldn't qualify here. So it would mean we'd have to say, well, both parties, or prior to a severance, one party would have to get I guess the owner, if it would be similar to this, the owner would have to install a system. And in a lot of places in our township, the rural part of our township, there is no hydro. There's a lot of farm homesteads. They're severing off property, but they, like I said previously, they're operating with a traditional system. And I also hear the comment of it's our opportunity to maybe ensure that the systems are in working order. But in this particular case here, we have two households. The one that before us that it shows where his well is. It shows where his weeping system is. And then later we're going to get into the same discussion with another property that had in 10 acres. And I think previously we used to just in the comments, it would say that when there was a severance, the building inspector would look at it and approve it based on the opportunity to install one. So I certainly wouldn't want to put somebody through at any additional costs to hire somebody that's going to look at possibly something visual. And I think Councillor Flor indicated earlier that it's the owner that wants to have a system that's operating properly. And because guess what? He doesn't want it backing up into his household. So anyway, I wonder if we shouldn't maybe discuss this one, let these two slide by the way we have with previous ones, and maybe discuss it at a either council or committee of adjustment or possibly council as to where we're going to go with this in the future, and look at the whole picture of the whole township and how it may be affected. And I just don't want to pick and choose here. Anyway, that's my thoughts.
Chair, it's Councillor Collins here.
Yes, go ahead.
The severed lot here, the one surrounded with the pink marker, did I hear correctly that this is less than a hectare? It's only 1.6 acres. Is that right, Tracy?
Yes, it's 0.6 hectares. So it's 1.5 acres, and 1 hectare is 2.47 acres.
So this is substantially smaller than what we have stated in our plan, isn't it?
Yes, that's why there has to be a zoning bylaw amendment.
Okay. And the zoning bylaw amendment, are we happy to allow these small lots to be severed? I think this is a discussion point, because that could be severed in a different way to actually meet that 1 hectare, surely.
Well, there's the pond in there as well. And so the applicant tried to keep the pond on the one property. If he would have did it the other way, it may have went through the pond, and having a pond on separate property, like one little bit on each, is not, that just causes problems in the future. With this being, I've seen a lot of acre lots. They're quite large. There's already existing development on each. We've done smaller ones in the past because we're correcting what is already existing.
Casey, can I just add something? I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that the requirement for that larger acreage in the OP is because of groundwater. And if people are willing to do a hydrogeology study to demonstrate that the property will support water, then they can get the smaller lot size. So in this situation, there's already a house, a well, and a septic on that smaller lot. So if we were thinking about it from a severing, virgin land, if you will, one of those requirements would be that they would have to demonstrate it through a hydro-G study. So obviously this well is supporting this one household at this time.
That seems to make sound sense.
Yeah.
The fact
Another
it's
thing,
existing. Thank
sorry,
you.
Sandra. We should just relate this to other lots around you. If you look at that map that's in front of us, the bottom part are likely a third to half acre lots. If you look at those, there's just some showing on the bottom section there.
Yeah.
And in various places on the same map, if you relate them, those lots compared to the one in the pink is likely 5-7 times or maybe even 10 times as big as some of those other lots. So it used to be quite common in our community, and I know I live in a lot right here that is 100 by 200, and a lot of them were 75 by 200 over time. So
when the applicant first came in, he had talked about kind of going on a corner. I don't know if I can explain it properly, but kind of kitty corner and then go out to the highway, like take that little chunk that goes right out to the highway. That would have given him, I believe, the full hectare. We can request that. He just thought that was a nice level piece there, and it kept it corner, like it broke up nicely. And then the frontage onto the highway would be kept on the retained. I guess it's up to the committee as to whether you want to include that whole hectare. I don't recommend going any closer to the pond. He can go closer to the pond, but not to go through the pond. But he can essentially come down and on an angle and take in that piece by the highway.
am I wrong, Tracy? Hasn't this been before us about 3 different times now?
Just November 25th. It was
Okay.
on it.
Okay.
Anybody have anything to add?
I think we should go with what's in front of us.
Okay,
I
so
agree, but I also think that our standard of 1 hectare is an unreasonable size and creates some really weird looking lots, like 100 feet wide and 600 or 700 feet deep. Like, in my opinion, it's a hindrance to our township.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Councillor Florent.
Yeah, is it okay now?
You're good now. Yeah.
It says that the host muted me.
I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to.
I was just going on with my explanation that I think the 1 acre or the 1 hectare lot size is a detriment to our township. And if there's any way of changing that, because I can see time after time after time, we're going to have to make amendments to the zoning bylaw to change them because it's an unreasonable size.
And that comes
Especially
right,
within the communities.
yeah, and that comes right out of the provincial policy statement. And then
I know it does.
Yeah. So I agree with you, Councillor Florent. I agree totally.
I think that I really believe that we need to change the conversation about that and continue to reiterate that the requirement to go smaller than that is a hydrogeology study. And I think people are afraid to hire professionals, but if that was such a hindrance, I think for a couple $1,000s, you could hire someone to say, yes, there's a lot of groundwater here. We know if you go deep enough anywhere in this township, you're going to get water. I really think we need to start talking in that manner, that is the hang up. It's not that we can't go smaller than that. It's that you need to do additional study to go smaller than that.
I think we should be petitioning the province to change their standard. If we've adopted a provincial standard or they insisted on it, and every one of us knows that it doesn't make any sense.
And I believe I talked to the province when you guys were trying to pass the OP 10 years ago and they don't care. So I guess we could try to change the provincial legislation, or we could tell people to pay a couple $1,000s and get a study.
I find it very interesting because over the years, a lot of our areas in our township, whether it be cottage lots or lots within our communities, was all sectioned off by the government at the time. And very few of them are a hectare.
Right.
If any.
I think if we're going to petition the province, I think we should be really, really pushing to allow severance where we don't have that township maintained road, but it has to be fronting onto an existing private lane or an existing maintained private road access, because this is hampering an awful lot of people with a huge amount of land from severing parcels for probably for residential use. And I think it would benefit the township financially if we were able to speak to the province and actually allow severance onto a private or existing private lane.
Could
And I think
I'm just wondering, we have a lot on the agenda for this morning. I really believe, Sandra, you made an excellent point, but I think we should, as a council, we should start to get our ducks lined up for when we review our official plan and discuss it at the time. But that is not before us this morning, what we're talking about. I think we should just talk about this lot and go on. And like I said, we have a meeting in the future. We get everything lined up, so when we have to review, then we're organized for it, if that makes any sense.
I agree, Richard.
Okay, thank you. I guess, Tracy, I'll leave it to you.
Okay, so what I'm hearing consensus of is that we'll leave that additional condition that was recommended out. And I can read them again if everybody wants me to, or we have a clear understanding of what they are. So currently right now, the conditions will be the original executed transfer deed, a duplicate in one copy, a copy of the reference plan that is substantially in compliance with the application to be deposited in the land registry office, and a schedule describing the severed parcel and naming the grantor and grantee attached to the transfer for approval, payment of all municipal legal and planning fees associated with the processing of the application, that the proposed retained lot and severed lot and the existing development on the subject lands comply to the zoning bylaw, that the applicant meet all financial requirements of the township, including the payment of the balance and any outstanding taxes, including penalties and interest. All these conditions have to be filled within one period after giving the notice of decision. That notice will go out early next week, probably. So I've taken that other recommended one condition off. And if I can get members to approve those conditions, then we can move forward.
Do you need
Councillor,
a motion for that?
I just need you to say yes or no. Councillor Shala?
Yes.
Agree. Councillor Collins?
Agreed.
Councillor Harper?
Agreed.
Councillor Bongo?
Agreed.
Councillor Florent?
Agreed.
All right.
Vermeer?
No, he's not in our committee
Oh,
of adjustment.
okay.
Okay, so that leaves us to the next one. Let me get organized here.
Before we go to the next one, Tracy,
Sure,
is Holly there?
I believe so.
It says the host has stopped my video
I didn't.
and I can't do it.
I don't know why that's happening.
Okay.
Did it send you a
you.
request?
Thank you.
She didn't like your
Sorry.
green shirt.
I'm not touching it.
Okay. So the second consent application, it's a new application. It's the first time we've seen this one, is to create one new lot from lands locally known as 266 Poplinski Road. And I'll give Holly a minute to find it here.
Is this it? No.
Yep, that's it. If you just keep going down. There's another map. This is perfect. That one, Holly.
Okay, the red one.
Perfect. Thank you. As you can see, this is a large piece of land. And following the consent, the proposed vacant retained lot will have a lot area of approximately 59 hectares and 146 acres. It has frontage on both Highway 60 and on Poplinski Road. And the severed lot will have a lot area of approximately 4 hectares, 10 acres, and a lot frontage of approximately 184 on Poplinski Road. And it's going to contain the existing dwelling, well, septic, and accessory structures. The requirement to hold the meeting is that there must be 14 days notice as prescribed by the Planning Act, and notices were mailed to the appropriate agencies and property owners within 60 meters of the subject property on February 25th, and the signs were posted by staff. Comments for the planner are outlined in the planner report, and there was no additional comments received from them. Is all members of the committee familiar with this property?
I am.
Yes, I'm very familiar with it. I also want to point out, Tracy, because you mentioned access to Highway 60 and the MTO, that the retained property has an existing driveway and civic address number on Highway 60.
They must, I don't know if they have it in the system, but one of the comments they came back, and one of the comments that came back is that there would be no entrances granted off of Highway 60. And this is a case where there's, it's not being proposed, but I think it's something that we should think about, that this is a case where look at all the lots that could be developed off this piece on Highway 60. And I guess it's, if it was, we'd have to go through that. But I just know from, other places that the MTO doesn't, they don't like new entrances they don't seem to like new entrances or grant new entrances off Highway 60. And I think in the future, we may need to, look at all of that or reach out to them and say, this is hindering our development. If this was to ever, we're going to have properties like this in the future. So it's something to think about when, in the back of our minds for a while. So I received that notice from them that they have no issue as long as the entrances are off of Poplinski Road. I want to note that during the process, it was noted that that piece of Poplinski Road is actually owned by that applicant. So one of the conditions in that is that get transferred to the township.
The complete sketch?
So the whole piece within that says Poplinski Road.
Yes.
I believe it in the report, it was like, what did it say? 20
meters, eh?
I believe that's what approximate came up with. But so that is a condition that's been included, and I think that's important. Where did I leave off here? I haven't heard I didn't get a chance to speak to the applicant. No one reached out to me after the notices were sent out. But is there any questions or comments from the committee?
Tracy, I just have.
Go ahead, Councillor Bongo.
Sure. Just to rewind a few sentences back, and just to make sure I'm understanding it all correctly, is this an instance of a non-municipal road becoming absorbed by the township?
No.
Okay.
It's a case where the road is, I think it's forced road that was created prior to, I believe it's 2002. So it becomes township jurisdiction, but we don't have ownership of it. So this is a case where we can clean up this situation, put it into the township name, and then the applicant will have the opportunity to have a natural severance on the other side of the road as well.
Okay. And is there a fee involved with that, or is it just absorbed just like that?
It was a condition that it be part of the applicant's responsibility to have that transfer done. to
Okay.
our name. Yeah. It'll be,
Question, Holly, or question, Tracy?
go ahead.
That whole road inside the red boundary there, that is maintained by us already?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, just so we don't own it.
Right. Right. And it's like that in a lot of places in the township, as you all know. But this just will clean up this, we have the opportunity to do this. And I, with talking with Dave, he thinks it's important as well. And then this will provide another, like I said, natural severance for the applicant.
Yeah, it's a case where everybody's going to benefit from it.
Right. Yeah.
And
Is
if I may
there-
add, Bongo, when initially when these when people settled in this area, they built the road based on terrain, and it was possibly the cheapest way in those days to develop it, and it just continued on. And like Tracy said, there are a number of these throughout the township.
Okay.
And not just unique to us either. It's in many municipalities is the same way. That's why it's an inclusion in the act. So it's not unique at all.
What I was going to say, Tracy, is they did post the notice on at the gate.
Yes. Yeah, it was actually, I had requested that Mike do it. He was going that way anyway. And I know the applicant's not in the area all that often. So I did it as a nice gesture, and I do it for ones that are out of town. Okay, so we come to the conditions. If there's no more questions, then I believe we could move on. Again, I will not include the recommended one by the CBO for the septic in this one. We discussed in the other portion of the meeting. So the committee in reviewing the septic application determined it to be compatible with the area, consistent with the policies of the provincial policy statement and the township's official plan. Thus, the application is approved, subject to the following conditions as outlined. That the applicant provide the township with the original executed transfer deed, a duplicate in one copy, a copy of the reference plan to be provided to the township for review and confirmation prior to being provided to the land registry office. The reference plan must identify the severed lot and the retained lot and the new road allowance and remnant parcel to the southeast of the Popinski Road. This is that portion, Councillor Bongo, where it would be named in the transfer. A schedule describing the severed parcel and naming the grantor and grantee attached to the transfer for approval. Payment of all municipal legal and planning fees associated with the processing of the application. That Popinski Road and a road allowance with width of 20 meters be transferred to the municipality, and that all surveys and transfer costs be paid by the applicant. An entrance permit be required for the retained lot. That the applicant meet all financial requirements of the township, including the payment of the balance and any outstanding taxes, including penalties and interest to be paid. And all these conditions would be fulfilled within the 1 year after the giving of the notice of decision. So I would ask for a vote on those conditions. Councillor Shala,
Yes.
Councillor Collins,
Yes.
Councillor Harper,
Yes,
Councillor Bongo,
Yes.
and Councillor Florin.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else that anybody would like to add for these meetings or these applications? No? Okay, Councillor Shala, you can carry on with the agenda.
Okay. We generally only schedule meetings when we have an application before us. So I don't believe we can book the next meeting unless you have something planned, Tracy.
No,
Not at this time.
not at this
Okay.
time.
Is there anything else, council? Nothing noted. Could I get a mover to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, and we will at some time sign these copies when we're in the office, correct, Tracy?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Are all in favor?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tracy.
Now, next meeting.
How's everybody doing? Do we need a short recess, or are we able to jump right in?
Go ahead.
All right, super. Well, I would like to welcome everybody to today's Economic Development Committee meeting. Before us, we have the agenda. It's Wednesday, March 17, 2021. And I would like to open the meeting, call it to order. Suppose I'll need a mover.
I'll make the motion.
The motion to start, perfect. And
I'll
seconder?
second it. I'll second.
Perfect. We have Councillor Florent initiating it and Councillor Vermeer seconding it. And additions or amendments to the agenda. I believe there's one, and I received an email for the mayor to read the media release regarding the departure of our CAO. I'm not sure if we wanted to read that again, or if it was sufficient for that to be read in the previous meeting.
I would like to do it. We did at the HR, at our special meeting, say that we would read it at the beginning of each meeting, and perhaps there are people joining us now. If you don't mind, Chair, please.
I think that would be very appropriate. Thank you.
And I think we did that as 3.1 after the adoption of the agenda.
Okay, perfect. Super. So in that case, we are good. Moving on to number 3, adopting the agenda. I suppose everybody is okay with that.
I'll move.
I'll second it. That's
Perfect.
Councillor Collins.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. And so section 3.1, please go ahead, Mayor.
Thank you, Chair. The media release has been sent out, and Council has decided we would announce this at beginning of each upcoming meeting. So Mayor Dumas and the Council of the Township of South Algonquin regretfully acknowledge the resignation of our CAO Clerk Treasurer, Holly Hayes, effective mid-May. Excuse me. During her tenure as the CAO Clerk Treasurer, Holly has exemplified her commitment to the growth and enhancement of our community through her dedication and vision of excellence in every aspect of her job. Holly has supported township staff in their work and encouraged them to expand their skills and knowledge of working in the municipal environment. She has been diligent in ensuring the safety and well-being of each staff member during the ongoing COVID situation. As the CAO Clerk Treasurer, Holly has worked closely with our local members of provincial and federal government and many government organizations, including our neighboring townships. As mayor, I have witnessed her professionalism and have received feedback on the respect that people have for her and her commitment to South Algonquin. Mayor Dumas and Council wish Holly all the best in her future plans and thank her for her excellent work for the township. Council will be proceeding immediately to begin the recruitment process to fill the vacancy. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I wish to thank CAO Hayes for everything that she's done. She's taught me. I'm a brand new counselor, and I've definitely learned a lot from her, especially on the subject of economic development. So she will be dearly missed. in the organization. She has been a key cog in the machine, and we wish her well in her future, in her next chapter. Perfect. Moving on to number 4. Is there a disclosure of pecuniary interest? Hearing none. So with that, we'll move on to number 5, the unfinished business, starting off with the wayfinding map. We've been discussing the final details of the wayfinding map, and we're almost there. I've been doing a lot of public engagement sessions. It seems like the public is very happy with the latest drafts. And we had an email that was sent out about some of the latest ones, and I will just go over those quickly here. Just a moment. Number 1, the Unemployment Resource Center currently appears as a feature on the map. And I wonder if that should be replaced with the Chamber of Commerce Welcome Center. I'm not sure what the rest of the committee feels about that.
Can we pull the map?
Yeah,
yes, just 1 second.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
While Holly's doing that, I just want to correct Councillor Bongo. He called it the Unemployment Resource Center. It's the Employment Resource Center.
Yes, I think it says that on the map, Unemployment Resource Center.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. I'm not sure. Just to give you an update, I've been contacting the Chamber of Commerce. They seem to be in a bit of flux. Greg has been laid off during COVID, and he's working on some things, but they're not sure when he'll be back or if he'll be back. And then there's some other staff that are working. This isn't working. That are working with him, but they're not sure kind of what the next steps are. So I kind of think that maybe Chamber of Commerce is not the right thing to put on the map, but maybe just the word resource center, because we're pretty confident that either DSAB and potentially the chamber will be in that location. I don't know why.
Can I ask, Holly, did they move over to the school?
No.
Where are they then?
I think right now, Emily, I actually don't know the answer to that. I think that she has an injury and is working kind of part-time, but I know that there are some other staff in and out of that building kind of now and then, but DSAB is definitely still in that building.
And if I may, Chair, while Holly's looking for the map, it's Jane.
Go ahead.
I think DSAP is in a reorganizational stage themselves, and I think renaming of this building will be imminent. And I agree with Holly. I think Resource Center right now is appropriate, and we won't go out and get anything that's going to be affixed there that isn't going to be changeable or whatever, because we may have DSAP may want to change their name for that building, or give a name that represents the services that will be in there. So again, I think that's something that we'll maybe have to, I agree with Resource Center, and then, maybe we may need to change it later.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll leave it as a resource center in that case. It would have been awesome if it stayed as a Chamber of Commerce Welcome Center, but of course, this just shows you how things change, especially on maps. So so we'll leave it as the resource center. Perfect. And then with regards to the label indicating the township office, right now it says visitor information, I believe, where the township office is. And I just wanted to check and make sure with the group that you know, are like, do we want to have tourists going to the township office? Whether we should indicate it as a visitor center, because is that giving the wrong impression, or just to simply have it as a township office?
To be the township office.
Yeah, Holly, I'm wondering if you can zoom into the blow up of the Village of Whitney, please. Yeah, perfect. So where you see number 5, there's that question mark there. Again, the main question is, you know, do we want to be directing tourists to that site under the guise of it being like a tourist visitor center?
So now looking at that, the fact that there's a 5 there and it says over here that it's the township office, we can just take that purple question mark off and take the word visitor center off of the legend.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't know how the rest of the group feels. I think that that's accurate. You know, that the township office is basically the headquarters of the organization that owns this map. So I think it's appropriate to have it there. Okay, great. And it seems like everybody else is fairly agreeable to that. Perfect.
Should it be municipal office, not just Township of South Algonquin office, but Township of South Algonquin municipal office? And that would maybe stop people going there for idle questioning. Anyone's thoughts on that?
I agree with Sandra.
I agree with you too.
I agree. It's a good point.
Okay, super. And I don't really see a problem with that at all. It makes it even more specific, which communicates more clearly to the visitors looking at the map. Awesome. All right, and the next one, there was an Indigenous community member who suggested this to me, and I am supportive of it. I'm not sure how the rest of the group feels, but to have a brief statement somewhere on the map, simply just saying South Algonquin is located on unceded Algonquin territory. I'm supportive of this. I'm not sure how the rest of the group feels, and I'm reaching out to everybody here for some feedback.
I think today the statement may be true, but if the treaty agreement ever comes to an end, if that process ever ends, it will be ceded at that point. I guess we can't worry about 10 years down the road. We can only talk about what's happening today, but I have no objection to that.
I have none either. Just that I think it's going to raise more questions than it does answers. People are going to wonder what we're talking about.
So
I think in some cases, Dave, that's why people are doing it, to start a conversation.
Yep. It's fine.
I don't have an issue with it.
no, I don't either. Is the fact that we now have the Algonquins of Ontario headquarters on the main street? I'm sorry, I don't see it here. Is it here? And if it isn't, I think it should be. Their new office in the the building that has been many things.
Yeah, I think that we went above and beyond to take all the businesses off. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Like, I feel like they are probably an organization that's going to get us into a whole bunch of discussion about who we do and don't include.
Okay, fair enough. I understand. And it's clearly marked, so that's good. Okay, thank you.
Okay, super. And
just-
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Chair, just going back to the resource center too, and I know that Greg's vision for when he was here as a Chamber of Commerce, and I'm just thinking of the name resource center too, and we did say we may come back to it. But I know part of his vision and his hopefulness was that there would actually be a recharge center there down the road for electric vehicles. So again, that may impact on signage as well. So, and he was very optimistic in his ability to probably bring something like that to our community. That, of course, was pre-COVID when, you know, we were in a very vibrant situation within the community. But hopefully that vision is still there when the Chamber of Commerce comes back.
Mm-hmm. Super, awesome. And yeah, with regards to a small land acknowledgement, I'm sure that the designer would be able to work that in a very appropriate way. As well. Perfect. And then the last thing is if there's going to be any kind of linkage whatsoever to the businesses or the business association. We had discussed the QR codes, and I know that the designer was the advice of the designer that QR codes are more appropriate for like consumer purchasing experiences. And Holly, is there, so when this sign, and the other thing that the designer had mentioned to me was that perhaps there could be a sign underneath that the private enterprises utilize to have some kind of linkage. I'm not sure what the rest of the group feels about what steps we need to take in order to link to any of the businesses in a fair kind of way, or is it better just to leave it all off and just have the one link to southalgonquin.ca?
Richard here. Is it
Sure.
possible to put that symbol somewhere that goes to the business association? So anybody that clicked on it, the business association can upgrade and downgrade based on the business at the location, and whether it's open or closed. So rather than have two signs, it wouldn't create any additional work for us. All it does is it gives them a link to what they want to advertise, and it'll be up to them to monitor their own site, and if that's making any sense.
Can I jump in here for a second? I'm just looking at it as to include everybody in on this, every business, and having just the business association, and I don't know how many businesses is involved, but I feel like that if not everybody's involved with the business association, then there would be exclusion for those that aren't involved with the business association. So how can we tell, like, how can we not give everyone the opportunity and only the ones with the business association?
Well, all we're doing
Do I get what I'm saying? I just feel like there's going to be, if we added the business association and there's businesses out there that aren't in the business association, how do we reflect those? Or is it going to be just those that are in the business association are going to be recognized? So that's, well, I'm just thinking as a business owner, that's not within the business association.
I hear you. It's just that we've gone to the business association looking for recommendations. Maybe we shouldn't have at the time, but now it seems like we're not interested or don't want to accommodate them. And I'm just trying to meet a little bit in the middle. And I guess it would be up to them if we just say business association. So if it is the business association and they advertise, great. And if somebody wants to be part of the business association, we're not really targeting or giving anyone specialized treatment, I don't think. We're just giving maybe them the opportunity to participate with the business, to get their name there if that's where they want it. And if they don't want it through the business association, I guess they advertise themselves. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out on the table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Holly, sorry, Tracy, thank you for mentioning that. And thank you, Richard, for your words as well. Going back to what Tracy said, yes, as I understand, the SABA is a new organization, and not all of the businesses in the township are part of that association at the moment. And so I guess the question that we're facing is how do we reckon that? And I mean, it would be awesome if there was like a unified business voice in the township. And that would be the dream, really. So again, yeah, the question that's being bounced off to the group is, if not all of the businesses belong to the association, is this back to that question of it being unfair? I don't know. I mean, it would be, like I said, it would be awesome if everybody was part of the BA. That way, you know, that link would go to that business information, and then they take care of it. And then, like somebody else had said, it would be less maintenance for us from a sign perspective.
And if I may, I think that's pretty.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Sandra.
What business doesn't want advertisements or advertising? All businesses need some sort of advert out there. And this signage map, if they were a member of the business association, they're almost getting free advertising. I can't see a business turning that down. Maybe with more members, SABA could reduce their fees and make it more easier for smaller businesses to belong at a reduced fee. But I can't see any business wanting to turn down free signage, because the signs on the road and these signs are going in very prominent places. And to actually advertise this way, any business is going to benefit from that. And if it means they belong to the business association, it's a very much reduced cost for that than if they were putting their own signs up and their own adverts. I think we should be encouraging businesses to be part of this association and actually have that link on these maps. That's my thoughts.
Okay. Chair, could I ask a question? And Holly, maybe you could also help us out here. If you had the same code on that map, that would take you to the township website, that would give everyone an opportunity just to give their information, whether you belong to the association or not. It would give people a chance to see what's in the township, would accomplish the same goal. How much work would it be? And if they provided all that, you could it either be a simplified method, if it's possible. If you follow me, does that make any sense? And can that all be done? And can we all win, whether we belong or we don't belong?
Sure. So I feel like we've discussed this kind of at length in the last meeting, and the outcome, what we thought was the resolve, was this portion of our website that you can see. So as we've said, this is something that we maintain. So right now we just have southalgonquin.ca on the map. Perhaps we could see if Kelly could create a link that takes people specifically to this location, which is our best. So these are all of the businesses who have contacted us and asked us to put them on our website. So we have a list, these, you know, these things, these are links to their websites, which they're all working on right now. They're all working with Algonquin, sorry, Edge, the tourism group that's helping them through that. So I thought that when we talked at the last meeting that this was kind of what we were trying to accomplish. And this includes, you know, we've put Saba on here and all of the businesses that have reached out to us. We can continue to tell them, you know, through newsletters and whatever, if you have a website and you want us to include it, please send it along. That's what I thought we had landed on. I think that there's a lot more politics happening around Saba. They're a growing group. Their website isn't quite there yet. Hopefully in the next year it will be, but I think, you know, this is something that we've talked about being in our control and us being able to provide to the public. So that's where I thought we were.
You know what, I recollect on it and I agree. I think that's where we were going. So that would they have to type in the Township of South Algonquin, or can they just go to this code and it'll bring all this up? How can it be simplified? So it gives somebody that's looking at
I said, right now it just says southalgonquin.ca. It would just be a matter, as you can see in the URL, of adding /services. Now the services is, you know, it does include OPP and Renfrew County. So maybe I can see if the web designers can take this service section and make it come up first. So like if you navigate to this right now, it's going to take you to business and service directory. We'll see if we can just take these DSAB things out and visitors will just go straight to that service page.
I think that, you know what, the simpler you can make it, and then it looks like you're not leaving anybody behind, I think it's perfect. That's my thoughts.
I agree. The separation is important. I think the accommodations, restaurants, all the recreational ones should be together and take the others out. And I agree. I think, you know, this should be one stop and not codes. What happened? I spoke to someone. They had a board on one of their towns, you know, signs out in the community, and people could put however you put your, you know, I don't know if you put a sticky on with your code, and somebody sat there one day and checked the codes that were there, and there were some codes on there that you wouldn't want anybody to have any access to. So, you know, if it's outside and people can just add it themselves, then there's a huge risk to that getting contacts to organizations that you don't want on there.
Super. Okay, so it's sounding more and more like the council is considering linking perhaps to this URL right here, southalgonquin.ca/services. That way, businesses that are not currently part of the association can be included. I suppose that addresses that issue. And further to that, if we link to the /services site, we do also have the information about those various trails and the OPP and all of the rest. So perhaps that might be the key database to link to. I suppose that's how everybody else is thinking. Yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you pull up that? Can we pull up the sign again to see where exactly how that's displayed on the sign? Can you show us where they would go to southalgonquin.ca or whatever?
southalgonquin.ca right now, but I will talk to the designers about that.
Should that be over on the legend on the other side?
Yes. I think we could put it, we can put it in a few places. We could put it, do you mean like here?
I think it should be where all the rest of the legend is.
Over here.
Somewhere so that it stands out. To me, I've looked at this and it's, if it's looking at, or we put something beside it, information or whatever. or a question mark behind it or something, just so, or anyway, just leave it the way it is. But I kind of feel it should be over on the, where the legend is.
And maybe
Or
we
in
could
two-
ask it. Sorry, Richard, go ahead. Sorry.
Or possibly in 2 locations. I don't know, maybe
Mhm.
just one, but over there, and maybe where it kind of stands out.
Yeah, I mean, we could put it in the legend at the bottom and put some indication for more information on services, or for more information on local businesses, visit our website, or for a list of local, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out how to word it.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, the designers are good, and when they visually look at the map, I'm sure that they'll identify the best place to put that. I think the most important thing is that we are linking to the rest of the community, and I think that this is probably the most fair way to do it. So thank you everybody for all of your input in this conversation, and I think that wraps up all of my notes with regards to the map. I honestly want to thank staff so much for going through with this process. Everybody in the community is very excited for these maps, and every ounce of your work is so greatly appreciated. So thank you again, and we're looking forward to the final draft and finally having these installed this spring. So thank you.
Before you leave that, Bongo or Chair,
Go ahead.
can we pull up the map and can we reduce it to see the whole map?
Maybe. I don't know why it's not reducing. Oh, I don't. That's
I guess what
can you
I'm
see it all now? No, right?
No, we can't. But what I'm thinking is, I feel we're missing out. The main employer in our township is the logging and lumbering industry. And I feel that we've got all these vehicles moving around. Possibly we should have a tractor trailer with a load of logs somewhere on one of those roads. And we should have a tractor trailer on another one of those roads, the provincial highways, showing the lumbering going out. It's the logs coming in and the lumber leaving. It's the processing. You can rarely go for a drive in our township that you don't meet a lumber or a logging truck. And
Yeah.
we've got all the recreational stuff, but we don't have the major employers recognized here. And we don't have to say who they are. All we have to do, if that's what we want, if we don't want them to display their name, but I think we should show at least the truck and the logs and the truck and the lumber. That, I don't know what council thinks, but
I just want to say for the record that the first iteration of the map had a pile of lumber and we were told to take it off. I just want to remind everybody that.
Okay, Holly, I'm sorry if I was one that suggested it, but
no, it's okay. But I'm just saying we're going around in a circle.
My grandfather came here when McRae's first started up, and my father worked there for years, and I worked there as a student. So I'm quite aware of the contribution the lumbering has made in both the Murray lumber and the McRae lumbering. So I think we should be showing those.
If I may,
go ahead.
Please go ahead.
No, sorry, Rich. I agree, and perhaps we could do that because we've got the tree there, and the the logs come out on those fine roads, I know they hit the major highways, Richard, I agree with you, but if we want to spread it out, we could have them coming out from where the pine trees are and the lumber going down the highway. But you're right, I think, we go around, but I certainly, the recognition of our major industries are very, very important.
Yeah, I would, that the trees going into the Victoria Lake Road, I believe at one time we did some research, there was 2,800 loads come out of there a year, in and out or whatever, trucks. And if we also showed the lumber on one of the provincial highways, it's basically showing the raw product and a semi-finished product.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, Richard, for your input. I'm going to respectfully disagree. Like Holly pointed out, we did have logs previously in one of the first drafts. While I suppose the car icons perhaps have the connotation of the recreational visitor, I personally think that, and this is just my opinion, that we have just the right amount of icons and details here. And yes, I absolutely recognize and see the importance of the logging industry here. However, perhaps maybe that is a better venue to honor that would maybe be the Eco Museum project. I'm, like Holly just said, I'm just afraid of us have to go back to the drawing board once again, just for a small visual like this. What does the rest of council think? Is there an opinion that we should add some more visual icons? Yes or no?
I think if we had a symbol of a log truck on, for example, Major Lake Road, instead of those trees, it might make tourists aware that there's the liability of meeting one on the road. I know this is a wayfinding map, and we're targeting mostly tourists with it. All the locals already know what the major industries are, so we're not really targeting these signs to locals at all. I don't know. I have mixed feelings on it.
So we have 2 in support. I'm
on the fence.
and we have one on the fence. I'm against. I don't know if there's anybody else.
I think small. It's Sandra here. I think just a small little pile of logs at the point where the 2 mills are is acknowledgement without being in your face. I'm not sure I would want to be coming and considering a place if I thought that there were lumber lorries trundling past my doorstep the whole time. I think that may be a bit of a deterrent for tourists. But just a small pile of logs in the vicinity where the 2 mills are situated, it acknowledges it, but in a very calm way, in a very unobtrusive way, I believe.
I'll just go ahead and jump in. Again, we did have the logs there, and I think that was raised as a little bit of an issue, because then are we trying to identify a business in a very abstract kind of way? And again, I want to stay away from any sort of unfairness sentiment that might be out there. Councillor Florent has suggested a log truck on the road there. I think it's is it Victoria Lake Road or Major Lake Road, in replacement of the trees. I mean, if it's a very quick, easy thing to replace one piece of art with another, I suppose. Personally, I still don't think that it's a completely necessary detail. The councillors that haven't chimed in on this, where do you sit on this side of the fence?
Is there a Chair, Joe Vermeer?
Please go ahead.
I'm kind of on the fence too with Councillor Florent there. Is there any way to put some kind of disclaimer on the map to give people notification that they should be aware that logging is taking place on a lot of these back roads that they may want to access, just to be aware?
That's a thought. Then at the same time, should we be putting on the map, you know, be cautious of hunting in this area during these times of years? I mean, we could be, there's probably 50 different public safety messages that we could include. And again, I'm just cognizant of us sort of losing the focus of what this map is trying to accomplish.
If I can jump in, I think that what Councillor Florence said about the truck being added to Major Lake Road, that would cover the trucks going into, like people going into Shell Lake. I think we should be proud that we have these two industries and these resources coming out of our area. And I think a log truck on a road isn't going to, the people are going to be so focused on everything else, but it just shows that we are acknowledging that we have these resources and that we should be proud of these resources, and people coming here should be proud of these resources coming out of this area. That's just
If I may, again, we have the canoe. It's 6 months of the year. I know recreation is an important part to our township. The logging industry is 12 months of the year. The lumber is moved 12 months of the year. The logs moved pretty well 12 months. Canada, anyway.
And if I could comment, it's Jane. You know, we have two major forest management plans going on in our area right now for Bancroft Minden Forest and for Algonquin Park. People know logging's happening here, and some of that, this is world-class logging practices that take place in this area. These two forest management units are held in respect throughout the world for the excellent practices that are going on and the regeneration of the forest, and the fact that forest management plans mimic big burns because, you know, forest fires, that's how regeneration happened in the past. These mills and these organizations in this township are leaders in forest industry. So I think in some way that has to be recognized, and people may be coming here because of the forest practices to go into the park and see where harvesting took place, you know, 30 years ago. And now there's regeneration of the natural forest happening. And the mimic and this forest management process that is replacing wildfires that burn down huge tracts of lands throughout the area are regenerating our forest. They are keeping the forest here for the future for these individuals that come to these areas. So to diminish forestry in this area, I think is not a good move of council.
I have a comment, Bogle.
Yes, please go ahead.
I full-heartedly endorse what Jane just said. We should be giving some type of recognition to our forest industries around here. As she pointed out, we are just about #1 in the world on the type of forest management we do. And the companies around here are the ones who implement on the ground our forest management projects. And they should be given some type of recognition, whether it's little piles of saw logs or something, because they are our #1 employer in this municipality. So I agree with Jane full-heartedly.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for your thoughts, Dave. The feeling that I'm getting is, and perhaps maybe Councillor Florence's suggestion might be the best way to address this is simply to have a log truck icon on the Major Lake Road, and provided though that the design team is able to do that without much difficulty, perhaps replacing that tree icon that's there, that would abstractly communicate a safety message and also give that honoring of the logging industry. And just to be clear, I'm not trying to diminish the logging industry at all. I fully recognize the importance of it to the area. I'm just trying to think of the perspective of, you know, how from the design, you know, how much to put on and how much to leave off. But perhaps a logging truck icon might be the best way to approach this.
Chair, if I could just say one more thing, and
Sure.
I think because I have indicated the world-class forestry management practices of these mills in our area, perhaps we should reach out to them, because I think, you know, if we wanted to put something meaningful on this map in regards to the respectful high quality forest management projects, they get awards. They get a symbol that says that they are a world-class, forest industry provider. So perhaps we could get something from them that we could put on there that actually then go to the legend and say, world-class forestry practices or something like that. Just a thought, if we were going to do it, rather than a log truck, yes, connotates logging, but I think that the message we want to get out there is world-class forestry processes and practices. So just reach out to McRae's and Murray's and see what designations they have for a symbol, perhaps.
Thank you, Mayor, for those thoughts. My response to that is I'm very much in favor of leaving it more abstract. Again, we had a lengthy public engagement process to figure out how to do this the most fairly, and for us to go back to another private enterprise to do that, I think that we're missing the direction, and this is just my opinion. Because then, at the same token, we have, for example, we have some maple syrup producers here who also win awards, and why don't those awards show up on this map? And those distinctions. At the same token, why don't we have a maple syrup icon on the map too? So I mean, again, I really like how we're approaching this. I think it's super thoughtful, very, very fair. And with regards to the logging industry, how does everybody feel about the log truck on Major Lake Road, as Councillor Florence suggested?
I just want to point out, Councillor Bongo, that they're not gaining revenue from, like you're saying, that the unfairness, but mills aren't gaining revenue from being in business from the tourism. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
They're not taking in money for tourism to have it on the map. Like, I know where you're saying that's unfair and everything, but they're not gaining any revenue from tourism with having it on the map.
For sure. But it comes
I just wanted to point that out. That
for sure, absolutely, and thank you for pointing that out. I think I'm looking at it from the publicity aspect of it. We went, the thought process in creating this draft was a matter of publicity. So that's why I support the abstract idea of having just an abstract image of the log truck versus any other formal bit of not support, but anyways, I don't want it to seem like I don't like logging, because I think it's it's really what drives this township, and it's got a huge history here. Again, when I look at the design of this map, I never want to forget what the goal of it is, and I just want to keep us focused on that main goal. So my concern is that we're overcomplicating it. But anyways, going back to that, as Jane suggested, I don't think at this stage that we should go through that step to actually contact the logging companies and get some sort of badge or something like this on there. I'm absolutely in support of the image of the logging truck on Major Lake Road. If there's anybody that wants to go above and beyond that to use this as a venue to honor the logging, now's your chance to speak. Or do we stick with as I suggested, fully in support of Councillor Florence's idea to just have that simple logging truck icon there?
Well, it'd be kind of nice if we had I fully agree that Victoria Lake, as I mentioned, there's 2,800 trucks going out of there, I believe, at one time a few years ago. So if the logging truck is there, that's where the majority of the forest resources are coming from. that go to the mills. If you take, when you drive by Madawaska, it certainly makes you wonder where it all comes from, but that's where a lot of it's coming from. And it's coming from up there within likely 70 kilometers inside the park, and from also from other access points and roads within the park to those two mills. But if we had that, and then if you had I previously mentioned the lumber truck, and if it was somewhere under Algonquin Park or going that way, they could be almost side by end up in that location. It just shows that we can't argue with the contribution that they've made over a century to our township. And just think that because we've involved another business or business association in this map that we can't change. I think I don't like to think that way at all. Let's get it right, and as right as we can. And the mayor mentioned there is a certification symbol for that they have to meet. The logging industry has to meet or can meet, and it's in their best interest to sell products throughout the world. So anyway, I'll just leave it at that.
Can I make one more point? I believe one of these wayfaring signs is going to be at J.R. Booth Park. So the very location of the sign demonstrates a lot of the history towards logging, and that you would have to be blind to go into a park named after a major logging or logger that opened up this country and not recognize that there was logging in the community.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a few years ago when I was in British Columbia, and I sought out the little towns that had sawmills and that because I wanted to see their operation, probably because I worked in the industry. But it can be a major attraction. And as far as profit or loss, it probably costs the lumber companies money because tourists regularly take tours of the sawmills and that. And it certainly costs the company money to do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the main question right now is if we are going to in some way incorporate the logging history on this map, what the question right now is how far do we go in that acknowledgement? So again, I'm fully in support of the logging truck as Councillor Florent had suggested. Mayor Duma has suggested going even further than that. Can I get any feedback from the group as to what level of logging acknowledgement we're going to pursue?
Councillor Bongo, it's Jane. I would go with what Councillor Schall is suggesting, but I also think that we need to reach out to I know that as Councillor Florent indicated, that McCrae Mills pre-COVID did do tours of their organization or their operation here in Whitney, and they actually had it on their website. So perhaps we could get them to sign it in as one of the services in the area that has a website that people could go to look at. They would there at those websites see all the acknowledgement of the special world-class certification that they have. And the fact, as I say, I haven't been there since COVID. I know they wouldn't be doing tours now, but they used to have it on there that you could, as Councillor Florent said, arrange to do a tour. So I would go with the log trucks and the lumber or whatever is being suggested, and encourage the mills to put their contact as a business on our service site on our website.
Okay, fantastic. And that's my frame of thought right now is just have the log truck icon. And then of course, when we have the southbalgonquin.ca/services, to make sure that the mills are included in that list of services and businesses there. Is the rest of the group supportive of that? Or
Chair Joe Romero.
Please,
Yeah, I'm in
please
favor
go
of what the mayor just reiterated there. I think that's an adequate compromise for everything.
Okay. Unless there's any vehement objections, that will be the direction for staff then in that case. And I think that will really be the final detail. So the direction for staff would be to find or create an image of a log truck and put it on the road where you normally see those types of vehicles. That way we can abstractly give the acknowledgement that industry deserves, and I think it should be fair for everybody that way. Perfect. And I please go
Councillor
ahead.
Bongo, I heard you say two words that are very encouraging to me. Like, this is the last time we're going to kick the can on this map. This can't go on forever. It's never going to be perfect. But I think council should agree that we are not coming, I don't care what happens, we're not coming back to this again. It's got to be finished.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm fully prepared. And like I said, I've ran this very image about a handful of times probably by now on Facebook Live with the community, and it seems like everybody's very happy with it. And I can assure you that every minute that we spent on this, everybody in the community appreciates it as well. So again, thank you staff and thank you council as well for putting so much time into this. So so we look forward to hopefully approving this at the April meeting. I'm sure that staff will send us the final draft with those final revisions that we discussed today. And yeah, the community is super excited to see these.
Can I just make a statement there? Before we actually finish with this wayfinding map, can I request that we have a third map, and it goes at the Madawaska Community Centre? That is where all the ATVs stop, all the snowmobiles stop, people turn off at the highway, and if they're confronted with a map, I think this is a really important place for it. Yes, it'll be nice to be in the JR Booth Park, but actually I think the better place would be at the community centre where there is free Wi-Fi and a very much bigger parking lot, etc. And I think that should be a prominent place for a third map, most definitely. I don't know what other people think about that, but to leave only one in JR Booth Park, I think we'd be missing most people.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Councillor Collins, for that perspective. I have personally, I have no problems with getting a third map. I think though that is perhaps maybe an item in a budget discussion or in an asset management discussion. I know that we had decided upon two, and I mean, if we have the budget for a third, I mean, you know, if things go well and there's budget, like we could put some more up in other key locations as well. I'm not sure if I could ask Holly a question for clarification here. If council was to decide to get a third or additional maps installed, when is the most appropriate time to have that discussion?
Correct me if I'm wrong, did we not already vote on this a few meetings ago? I thought that we had voted and agreed. There were some members of council that were against putting it at the Madawaska Hall. Am I remembering something incorrectly?
I think you're correct, Holly. I think it was already decided not to because of clutter. And as far as reaching snowmobilers, they're confined to snowmobile trails and they're not apt to visit any of the sites on a wayfinding map. Certainly not at the time when they're on the snow machine. They may come back at another time and do it, but.
Okay, super. Yeah, thank you so much for that clarification. In that case, this is my suggestion. Since we did vote on these two locations, perhaps the best approach is to simply stick with that direction. And then perhaps maybe at a future ECDev meeting, when we discuss maybe the expansion of signage or something like that, maybe that would be the most sensible way to approach that idea. But I do.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
The other thing that could be considered, I don't know if anyone's been to Eganville lately, but they did one a few years ago, and like there's one stuck in the window of the Fresh Mart, and they're kind of everywhere. So if we get these large ones up and then it's a big hit, there's nothing to say we couldn't print some smaller ones and put them on the sides of buildings or on the sides of outhouses, or it's not like it has to be, a one time, this is it. Once we have it, we have the document, we can print them like a smaller size or whatever.
Mm-hmm. That's an excellent point. And yeah, for sure, the community will be super excited to hear that this image will be broadly available so that it can appear in multiple places. And I think as you've mentioned, Holly, that might be the best solution with regards to what Councillor Collins suggested. I hope that satisfies everybody. Super. Okay, so and thank you again for that discussion. The next item on the agenda is economic development internship. So I know that we, due to Holly's departure, we will be in another recruitment phase. So as I understand, this may complicate matters with regards to the ECDev internship. We had a candidate selected, a very good candidate. Unfortunately, they backed out. I think that was summer 2020. And then that put us into a recruitment mode again. And now we are recruiting for a much bigger position. So I don't know if staff just wanted to give an explanation as to where we are in this internship process and the recruitment dilemma that we find ourselves in right now.
I mean, it's not so much recruitment, it's more that this is a new position that hasn't been held in the municipality, and we're not sure. I've given 2 months notice, which is a significant amount of time, but it's unlikely that it will be the amount of time that it takes for us to acquire someone to sit in this position, as well as be trained to do the work of just the normal work. So I think having someone new come in and then putting a new position for them to manage on them all at once is probably not a good course of action for council. It's unfortunate, but I think that kind of all of the additional things that we were trying to do, in a staff this small, it's going to be difficult for me just to pass off the normal things. So I don't think we should be taking new things on at this point.
Okay. And what is the likelihood of internship grants like this coming up in the future? Is this the last internship grant available, or is this something that comes up on an annual basis?
No, I mean, I know NHOFC is part of, they work very closely with Northern Development and Mines, and that's kind of the link that got us here. I think that in the future, when the municipality is ready, there will be opportunity for internships. I think that it's almost the kind of thing where you should now that the requirements of the grant are known, we should almost try to tee someone up prior to going after the grant. But I can talk to the individual who I was working with and make them aware of the situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. How does the rest of council feel about that? Are we going to, I don't know what the right word is for this. I mean, is this internship being canceled just because of our overall situation? I don't know if there's any feedback from the rest of council.
I think we had the discussion, and yes, that was the conclusion, that it was not the right time to have an intern coming in when we are going out to the market to look for a replacement for Holly, and that will take a lot of time. Council will be involved in interview processes, site visits, etc. So we have a busy time ahead of us, and some of these things will have to be just put aside for now, not taken off the table, but they will not be happening in the next 6 months, and perhaps not the next year.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it sounds like council is in agreement with that. Just addressing the public. Again, we did have a candidate fall through, and it's my belief that, and I'm very confident that in our new staff transition, I'm sure that we will pursue expanding the economic development department through other grants and internships that will become available in the future.
If that is the will of the council at the time.
If, of course. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. And next up is the Eco Museum. Holly, I'm not sure. Do you have access to the Eco Museum document? If not, that's okay. I can just give a verbal explanation of that.
Yes, I do. Just 1 second.
Okay, super. Thank you so much. Just waiting for her to bring. Oh, there we go. Awesome. It's a pretty big document, so super. All right. So the Eco Museum, this was, as I understand, something proposed by Professor Fullerton from Brock University. He was very instrumental with the creation of the official plan. And he participated in several focus group sessions to come up with this, and it has been identified as an economic development initiative. Holly, if you can just skip ahead to page 7, please. And my other question, Holly, is this document available on the township website?
No, it's not, because it's draft right now and it was prepared for council, so we haven't put it on the website yet.
Okay, super. Will at some point it be made publicly available?
I'm not sure. I think it depends on what council decides to do with it.
Okay.
If we go forward with it, yes, it will, and if not, no, it won't.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. I'll just give a very brief summary. So the whole idea of this project is to create a lot of community involvement, to create basically interpretive trails within the boundary of South Algonquin. The whole idea being that that we engage with the community to record and celebrate the history of the township, and have these included in sort of like an interpretive panel experience on walking trails within the township boundary. Holly, if you could just skip to page 11, please. Perfect. And just scroll down just a tiny bit. Page 11. Couldn't see it there. Anyways, this.
Sorry, is that where you want? I can't see the page numbers, so I'm using the number in the PDF. So if that's not the right page, let me know.
One more down, actually, please.
Okay. Better?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. So this is an initiative. I mean, the way I see it, it would benefit both visitors to the township, but also locals living here. It would give them trails to walk. The other neat thing in this report is that this report really focuses on a digital integration with these trails as well. So it could give a really exciting growing opportunity digitally for the township. And Holly, if you could just go to page 22, please. Super. The other really cool thing about this report, it really tries to incorporate the broad spectrum of history, including Indigenous history in South Algonquin. And if you could skip to page 25 now, just a couple pages down, please. Okay. Perfect. So this report identifies 4 possible trails, one being an area. So that's what this page shows you over here. And if you can skip to page 32 now, please. And a little bit more down. Perfect. And then the proposal includes a Sabine Eco Museum Trail. And now if you could go to page 36 or 37. Murchison and Lyell Eco Museum Trail. And then the last one, page 42 or 43. Perfect. And then the suggestion of the Dickens Eco Museum Trail. So the scope of this report is a township-wide involvement. The report recommends to begin with the Erie Trail. I kind of disagree with that. I think if we're actually going to do this, Erie already gets a lot of attention. I'd be very happy for a trail to be made in one of the other sections of the township. And the last slide that I would like to look at is on page 49. Perfect. All right. So, and this is probably the most important page of this report. And with the list of steps here, this is a big project. This is a really, really big project. It's a wonderful, it's a great, wonderful idea. I think it provides benefits for visitors and locals. It celebrates local history, and it encourages civic engagement. However, I think it's a pretty massive undertaking with that will take up human resources and financial resources. In this step of next steps, in my personal opinion, I don't think that we should pursue this until we are ready to nominate or either nominate an already existing committee to handle and direct this, or we create a new committee to direct this. I think that should be the first step, but before we commit to this in any kind of way. And again, it's a lot of work if we're going to do it properly. And I know that overall we are understaffed when it comes to economic development. So this is absolutely something to keep in mind. And I'm looking at this very realistically. Again, this is a super awesome idea. for these interpretive trails to be created. But the question really is this realistic in this term of council right now? Or perhaps this could be a dream project for a future council as well. So anyways, I just want to go over this with the public and with council as well here on YouTube, just because a lot of work has gone into this, thanks to Professor Fullerton and his team. However, at this, it's come to this stage where we, the council, have to now decide what to do with this. And I hope that I've given you a summary of the details of this. So at this stage, I guess staff would just be waiting whether we let this sit or whether we pursue this. So I don't know if there's any feedback from the rest of council.
Chair, Richard here. I fully agree with putting the internship position on hold based on what we discussed at a previous meeting. However, this was quite exciting when it first came out. Oh, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago when it was first discussed, and I submitted names. I believe I was the only one that submitted names at the time for individuals to be interviewed. One of them that turned out to be 103 years old that we never got around to interviewing, and a couple in their 90s. And I believe if we're going to, this is all about history. If we're going to capture the history, maybe there's another means of doing that. There's only so much time left with the people on the ground to get the facts and get them correct. So we're kind of between a rock and a hard place. And I can recall mentioning this at Cottage Association meetings, and I represent an area that there were settlement areas in 2 locations and a native community on 1 lake, and I can go on and on. But we're slowly, I guess we could say fastly, losing the history by not being in touch with certain individuals. And I don't know how we do it, but I guess we can't do it all maybe, but the history, if we don't somehow do that important part of it to get the facts and the history from some of these individuals, we're never going to get it as correctly as possible. So I don't know what the solution is, but I just want to make sure that get my point out.
So I think the solution is to pay someone to do it and stop depending on free work from university students. So Chris did meet with a bunch of people and collected a bunch of information, and then COVID happened and we stopped that, and he's not willing to come back until we're all vaccinated or this COVID thing lifts. So yes, we do have an extensive list, and they did start the process. And if it's something that is council's desire to do, then we need to put some money behind it and actually hire people to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Well said. It's going to take some kind of financial commitment and more organization as well. Like I suggested, either an existing committee adopts this or we create a new one. I mean, it. Again, I love the idea of collecting all this history, but again, we are facing some major obstacles now. Mm-hmm. Oh, I think Richard's muted. I think Councillor Schall is trying to say something, but he's muted right now.
I don't have the ability to unmute him. Are you there, Richard?
Yes, I am. I guess what I'm thinking of is maybe is it possible that we could pass this on to the library board, and maybe they could collect some of this, because if we don't get in touch with these individuals, we're not going to get the facts that we want.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not on the library board, but if they were inspired to participate in this, I think that would be quite the appropriate venue for it. Depending on what the library board decides to do. I mean, they have their own board and they make their own decisions. So I mean, if they are already busy with other things, then that's their decision. But for sure, I'm not sure what it takes, whether it's staff to email them or whether I have to email the library board to see if they're interested in at least to participate in the historical collection of facts for this project.
Okay, maybe I could put it another way. Is it possible that staff would have the time and combined with council come up with the necessary questions, a question sheet, and council could send that off or pass that on to individuals in their wards to hopefully have maybe the family of some of these individuals that we think can provide that knowledge, that the family would work with them to answer all the questions and give us as much information, and we put it on file. So a little bit will be better than nothing. And they likely, possibly the family would get more into detail with their grandparent or whoever it may be. And we can, once it's on file, that's all we really need, whether it's by video or whether it's in written form, but we would have that. And I don't think we should delay it too long, because I've looked at some individuals that have passed away here, and they certainly had a lot of knowledge that we should have grasped. And it's too late, but let's move forward and do the best we can.
Yeah,
would that make any sense?
It does. We just need that leadership and that that committee, whoever that committee or that director of this project will be. Basically, this project needs, in my opinion, I think it needs a director and a supporting committee of some kind, because I don't think that staff has time in their schedule to conduct these kinds of historical interviews. I mean, staff can definitely keep things on file, I'm sure, but so I'm not sure what the answer is. Again, this is an amazing idea. It's a great project idea. It's just that do we as an organization have what it takes to actually make it come to life financially and people wise as well, staff wise.
I'm not suggesting that staff do the interviews at all. I'm suggesting that we come up with just an information request that would be sent out to certain individuals. Councillors in their area know, and possibly staff that know individuals that could help us. And we get all the information we can, get it signed or whatever, and return to us. Like, I don't see it as that we have to prepare reports on it afterwards or anything. Just put it on file, either go in a township file or in a library file, so that someday someone can analyze it all and continue on with the Eco Museum project.
Probably the most, oh, sorry, somebody was going to speak.
I was just going to say, so Chris and his team have created that. They've done the work around the questions that they ask and the, kind of what they're trying to accomplish. Their experience was that it's very difficult to get older people to talk about the things that they're looking to talk about. They, you know, in most people's minds, the experiences they have are just their life, and they don't see any significance in it. So those students and Chris have found that to be difficult, and they feel like that one-on-one interaction for a couple hours to kind of get through that and get people to talk is good. Having said that, I'm sure that, you know, Chris could create some kind of mail out if that's kind of the goal. I think Chris would probably be, I can talk to him about that if that's what council wants to do.
Mhm.
I'd appreciate whatever you can do, Holly.
Mhm. Yeah, it was just on the tip of my tongue. You know, perhaps at this stage, the most cost-effective, human resource effective thing to do is just to simply reach out by letter or reach out by social media and get people to write in. Perhaps that could be a social media campaign for you right there. Just, you know, hey, who in the community here wants to share some local history information and see what you get. But then, you know, at the end of the day, we will need some sort of director or committee to then assemble everything. And then as you can see in these steps that we're looking at here, there's a lot that goes into this, and there will be a financial commitment. So step one will be recording all the history, and then once all of that is on file and it's kept safe, at that stage, there's a whole bunch of other logistical things that council will have to address.
If I may, Chair.
Please.
I'm sorry. I hope I'm not repeating myself. I got kicked out for a little while, so I'm back. But you know, we do have an individual in our community, Rich, and I think Chris and the students do a wonderful job, and I think Chris has a relationship within the community. But I think on council itself, we've got individuals who have history with the community and who are respected within the community and know a lot of the history that could, you know, if you're sitting down with someone, you know, like myself, if I'm sitting down with a senior in the community that I know, there is some connectivity there that maybe enhances the ease of that individual sharing their past and their history. And you know, I think this is a wonderful project, and I hear what Richard's saying is we need to get the history from these elderly people who may not belong, you know, who may not be around with us for much longer. So anyway, and I think this has got to be totally separate from staff in the township. This is not something township staff can do. We need to get somebody, as I say, we've got someone in the community, Richard, you know, who went around from and talked to seniors many years ago and recorded on cassette tapes, and they seem to have gone missing. So, but maybe that person themselves could recall some of the history that they had the opportunity to dialogue. So I agree, this needs some thought, and I think we need to organize and turn this into almost like a centennial project. Like, it's not going to be done tomorrow. There's going to be a process, but we do need to get, you know, somehow get through discussions, someone who could take the lead on this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thank you so much, Mayor, for those words. I agree with you, and further to that, I also think that keeping, you know, Professor Fullerton is wonderful. He's really done a lot for the township. However, if we had a more localized, a local leader, perhaps a local leader engaging with these historical stories, perhaps somebody local and more familiar could maybe more effectively engage with the stories and get people to open up. So anyways, I mean, at this stage, the question, like, at this stage, Holly, what sort of direction do you need from us at this stage with regards to the Eco Museum project?
I mean, as I've said, I don't think that any of these are going to really go anywhere until you've hired someone into this position. So I would suggest that we send a letter to Chris and thank him and thank Janine for this. And I think that if the next step is getting just some mail outs out, we can do that. And then you can decide in 6 months or when you're ready to take it back up.
Okay. Is there any other feedback with regards to that idea from the rest of the members? Hearing none, perhaps, okay. That might be, I mean, I like that direction. I mean, we should do something about it. And I think contacting Chris and Janine would be prudent, and then we could begin taking matters into our own hands with perhaps just some mail outs or some social media interaction, and hopefully maybe that will inspire a community leader to step up and maybe become the director of this project. And I mean, this report will remain with us, and so I mean, it's a great idea to have on file. If there are any other thoughts, please go ahead. Otherwise, I think we'll leave the direction at that.
I just have, it's not really a suggestion to this, but I just want to make everybody aware that there's a podcast, Upiongo Line podcast, and they interview seniors from different communities. I haven't had time yet to listen to all of them, but there are some from South Algonquin, two that I'm aware of right now. And if there's two, there's likely more than that, because I'm no expert maneuvering around podcasts. But there, it's if you Google Upiongo Line podcast, they'll come up. I think right now they're interviewing seniors at the manor in Barry's Bay, and some of which are from Township of South Algonquin. It's just another resource if you were doing research or wanted to hear what some of the seniors are saying.
Yeah, awesome.
Just to mention there, Bongo.
Yes, go ahead, Councillor Collins.
I think most people don't understand what an eco-museum is. And I think if you ask them to get involved in it, they're unsure of what it is. But if you were actually saying you'd become part of a historical podcast that people can listen to in the future or something like that, we may get a better response. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Mayor, did you want to say something there?
Oh, yes, thank you. Sorry, something just popped on my email here. I think Councillor Florence sparked my mind about the Upiongo Line podcast, and our chief librarian, Charlene Alexander, was involved in that process. So we'll have to remember our library staff as well, but she was involved in some of the reading of some of those podcasts, etc. So she is obviously a good person to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a function of the library. So again, perhaps they might take a bigger role in this moving forward. But I think everybody's in agreement that it's a wonderful idea, although it's going to need a lot of somebody really like a community champion to really lift this up and direct it. And then of course, at that stage in the future, council will have to decide, what is the financial commitment to this as well. So perhaps that is better saved for a future economic development meeting. And we'll just stick to the direction of some sort of a mail out questionnaire or a social media campaign to at least do what we can at this stage to collect some kind of historical information.
So, but when you say social media campaign, because I know you're big on social media campaigns, what does that mean? Like, who's doing, are you saying down the road? I don't think as a councillor, you should be going out and doing a social media campaign on behalf of council. So I want to be very clear about what social media campaign means.
Yeah, no. Thank you for asking. No, I would not get involved in that way with this project. When I say the word social media campaign, well, for example, Holly suggested doing some sort of mail out questionnaire My point is that we could do that electronically through social media. So you have your pen and paper.
You're not going to reach seniors through a social media campaign.
I mean, again,
realistically, anyway.
we don't. No, I completely understand that. Again, I'm not saying that we absolutely must do a social media campaign. I'm just saying that it's an easy digital complement to your pen and paper.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there are no further comments or questions with regards to the Eco Museum, we'll move on to the broadband plan. And the broadband plan. So I will just give a verbal summary of this. I'm just going to check my notes here. So I attended Roma at the end of January, and there was a good presentation about basically how rural municipalities could approach solving their broadband challenges. And there's three. Seems like to me from attending the presentation, there's 3 steps, 3 key things. Number 1, you need a needs assessment and a gap analysis. Number 2, you have to involve some kind of consultant who specializes in helping rural communities get online. And at the Roma conference, it was an organization called Sengen and Telesat that were attending there. So those are a couple of potential contacts. And then finally, the last step is funding. So those are sort of the 3 things that a municipality like us would have to put together in order to make something happen. I had asked a question at the panel, and the response to my question about what would a township like us need to do, you have to find out what your needs are digitally. So, and again, I think this comes with hiring a consultant for them to look at where your communities are, because of course they would need to know which sections of your township geographically to target with, whether it's fiber or wireless or whatever. The second thing, to identify what kinds of services do we already have in the community. So for example, is there any infrastructure such as easements or right-of-ways where fiber could be put in? Are there any other existing structures where that could double as towers, or are there any unused towers out there that could be used as well? And then of course, are there sites where towers could be built? The other thing so really the key is to have a well-prepared needs assessment and gap analysis. And with regards to funding, there are, and this is a major undertaking, by the way. I know that right now our priority is going to be recruitment. So I'm not sure if this broadband plan is going to happen immediately, but nevertheless, I think it's important for us just to start to really talk about this. The funding options include public-private partnerships, utility-based funding with a 20 to 30-year payback. Either the municipality owns part of the network, or you earn revenue to pay back funding plus future growth. I have the contact information of the consultants who spoke at Roma, Stephen Hampton from Telesat, Grant Street from Sierra, and Kirby Coster from Sengen. And then of course, above all else, there, as Township had published on social media a few weeks back, then there's Starlink, which is run by the billionaire Elon Musk. He has the satellites up in the air, and his goal is to bring high quality internet to rural areas such as ourselves. So and that would involve no involvement with the township whatsoever. Anyways, it's a complex undertaking, and we're not going to figure out in this meeting exactly, but I thought it was just important to mention it, that, yeah, if we want to get serious about taking some sort of initiative about addressing the broadband challenges, then it really seems like we need to engage with a professional internet consultant, so that we could get the needs study done, and then that way we have a better idea of what it costs. And on top of all that, there are funding options as well, like grants and things like that. So it would require a lot of staff time to research and secure those grants, and then deal with the consultants, and that would be the eventual road to improving broadband here in the township. I'm not sure if anybody has anything to add to that, any comments or questions. Okay, hearing none. So yeah, again, I don't think that we're going to, just again, because our focus is going to be on recruitment for the next 2 months, whether we start, this might be probably more appropriate for the new CAO to look at, just because of the logistical situation that we're in. But anyways, thank you everybody for listening to my summary on broadband there. And if there's no other questions, we'll move on to the next item here, housing strategy. So staff had organized a presentation quite a while ago. CMHC, I think, was the name of the organization. And also the Community Safety Wellbeing Plan has really emphasized that one of the top priorities in this region is housing. So I don't know, similar to the broadband plan, I'm not sure what the magic wand answer is to solving housing, but I think it's super important for us to be thinking about it. And we had a brief discussion at the last meeting, and I think that if we're going to pursue a housing strategy seriously, we'll need to definitely dedicate some staff time to it, similar to the broadband plan. Now, this is a lot. This is like a lot of stuff to put on one plate. So again, the reason I'm talking about it today is just to get it in the minutes, to show the public that these are issues that we are serious about tackling, and that we just need to make those baby steps to one at a time make these things come to fruition. I'm not sure if anybody from council wants to comment on the need for housing in the township at all. I'm hearing none. Okay, super. Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead.
I think we have discussed this in the past, and we really made a point of saying we need sort of 1-bedroom bedsit type housing for our seniors, and there isn't anything of that ilk in the township at all. The land at the back of what was the school playing field, etc., would be land that would be available if somebody wanted to develop. There are other people I know in the township that want to develop a similar sort of housing, for sort of apartments, 2-bedroom apartments, 1-bedroom apartments, to actually address our senior issue within the township. But I think it's from a township point of view, we've got to somehow attract them, or be some incentive why they stay in South Algonquin, or they're going to go elsewhere. They're going to take their funds, their skills, and they're going to build elsewhere. So I think this is far more than just a housing strategy. I think this is more, what can the township do to keep those people and encourage those people to build those type of issues and those type of properties in the township? Would they be allowed to build a small block of 1-bedroom apartments, for example, or convert a motel unit or whatever? But I think it's a bigger issue. What is the township prepared to do? what can the township do? What do we think we ought to do to encourage this? So I think it's a very far-reaching statement here.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Yes, long-term rental units. I think that the township economically would benefit immensely if we had a larger supply of long-term rental units. And really, as you said, Councillor Collins, the key question is how do we attract that kind of investment here in the community, and that kind of commitment to that style of housing as well, long-term rental units as opposed to short-term rental units, because of course people need a place to live, and I know that a lot of businesses are able to recruit people, but then when people are recruited, the question comes, where do they find a place to live? Anyways, like you said, Councillor Collins, this is it's a big idea, and maybe when we have the new staff solidified, we can have a more realistic look at what the next steps might be for us to approach this. I'm not sure if there's any other comments or questions from council.
Councillor Bongo, we did defer to the next body of council in the upcoming 4 years of council, the strategic plan. And I think the items that you have brought forward and mentioned today are certainly items that the council coming in 2020 will be looking at. And I think it's very good that you've done this, given us a snapshot here. And I think they are long range, but it's very good, and appreciate very much the updates. But this will, I think what you've got here will guide council in the next term as to the strategic plan, and probably a much more focused, less broad strategic plan than that we've got in the meantime. And I'm not saying that the individual coming on board to replace Holly can't start looking at this, but I think the strategic planning process will be very important in the upcoming term of council.
Mayor, thank you so much for mentioning that. I fully agree. And yes, the strategic plan does specifically describe a need to increase the housing supply. And so yes, as we and we as a council did vote to have a look at that and reevaluate the strategic plan in the new term, and I think that will be probably the most realistic and appropriate time for us to spearhead that. But yeah, nevertheless, I did want to just get this in the minutes, just to show again, to communicate to the public that we are thinking about this, and that in the near future, we hope to take the necessary, more specific steps in order to make these dreams happen. Super. Awesome. Okay. Well, and then there's nothing else under unfinished business. We'll move on to number 6.
Bongo, can I just add something? I just wanted to
please
just to indicate, like, so the passing of the zoning bylaw and all of the work that staff and council have done in the last few years regarding planning and development, that's a start to this. So as Sandra was speaking to, what is zoned and what is not, and the mechanisms that we now have in place, and the severances that you guys permitted this morning is part of this process. So I just want the public and council, kudos to council and staff, because that work that they've done, although not all of the public understand, those things that we've done are putting us in a place to manage growth and to accept growth. So for years and years and years, there was no, either severances went to the province or there was a moratorium on severances. So I just want the public to understand that those planning tools that we've put in place are positioning us to manage growth and to allow for housing to be able to exist. So I just want to, it's not like we're all sitting on our hands just waiting, and development is coming. The things that we're seeing, the growth that we're seeing, the people who are moving here full time, cottages that are being changed to houses, etc. It is happening. It's happening fairly organically, and I know that you're saying like we need to step forward on it. But I also want to just recognize that staff and council have been managing those things over the past few years.
Super. Yeah. Thank you so much for that statement, Holly. I think that we are seeing evidence of growth in our township, and staff had the foresight to put us in a position to be able to properly take care of these inquiries regarding severances and all of those things. I mean, every time we look at a severance application, that means that somebody's looking to invest in this township, and the evidence is there, and I think that the growth that momentum will continue. So you're absolutely correct. Yeah, we've made some really good first strides to poise ourselves in a position of growth, and really the what lies in the future is for us to manage that growth and to encourage it to be positive and to benefit the community as well. Awesome. Perfect. Okay. So if there are no further comments about that, then we'll proceed to new business. Holly, I was wondering if you could pull up the website slides that I had emailed you. It's simply bongo.blog/TOR. Perfect. Okay, awesome. And I really want to thank everybody for tuning in, council as well. I know this has been a very long meeting, so I really do appreciate your attention and your patience with all of this. What I'm about to talk about is the economic terms of reference. We did discuss. Legally, I'm allowed to bring up ideas 2 years after they've been either spoken about. So we did talk about whether to have committee of the whole or standing committees. And so I'm just letting everybody know that I am bringing this up again, just because I really believe in this idea, and I don't think it hurts at all to have this discussion. I'm very much in tune with the community here, and I'm listening to its members, and I'm really inspired to bring this idea back to the table. And so is the mayor raising her hand there? Maybe not.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Sorry.
Right.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'll just jump into things here. So this is a proposal for council to consider. On page 28, the strategic plan identifies economic development as a priority. In response, we established the very first ECDev committee in early 2019. It was a crucial first step in addressing the township's ECDev needs. But to continue this momentum, I personally believe and want to propose that we further evolve the committee by formally adopting economic terms of reference. So Holly, if you can just go down a little bit more to the next slide there. Yeah, if anybody wants to look at this presentation, it's bongo.blog/TOR, where it says strategic plan there. There's a link to the strategic plan. What is the terms of reference? Terms of reference define the purpose and structures of a project, committee, meeting, negotiation, or any similar collection of people who've agreed to work together to accomplish a shared goal. If you could just go down a little bit more to that green slide there. And then there's a button there if you want to look at a draft of a terms of reference. I'll be completely transparent that this was an idea that was brought to me actually 2 years ago, maybe at this stage 2.5 years ago, by members of the business community. And at the time, I did a lot of reflecting, and I thought, you know what, this is our first edition of the Economic Development Committee. I'm just happy that it's here. So I wasn't sure about bringing this idea forward at that time. However, I like the idea of evolving and making things exciting. So this is why I'm mentioning this now. And if you do click on that link to the TOR draft, which Holly, you don't have to do right now, but anybody's welcome to do that. That's a draft that members of the business community had sent to me, and that's really what was the genesis of this idea. So the biggest impact of the terms of reference is allowing a diverse group of individuals to sit on the committee so that its members represent a variety of economic experience. That's essentially the core idea of this terms of reference, to really bolster the committee. If you could please move down to the next slide there. So why consider this idea? I think that there's many advantages to it. So number one, to utilize people and community assets. So the strategic plan discusses the need to engage with untapped human resources and talents. You can find that on page 12. The plan also repeatedly stresses the need to identify local champions for various different initiatives. So in that thought, economic terms of reference are in line with the community-based approach that is central to the strategic plan. Number two, fostering civic engagement. I absolutely love civic engagement. I think it's an indication of the health of your democracy. And after all, as a decision maker on council, I feel more confident and comfortable committing to decisions when I know that I've done my due diligence to engage with the public, so that, you know, the decisions that I'm making, I'm not making it for the public, I'm making it with the public. Internet viewership statistics show that interest in municipal politics has increased a lot within the last year. If you look at the township Facebook page, it's 571 followers. The YouTube channel has 5 live streams with over 100 views, with an average viewer count of 64 views per stream. So the idea of diversifying the Economic Development Committee would really run parallel to this rise in civic engagement with the community. Again, I think it's a very healthy thing. Number 3, gaining the terms of reference would allow the township to gain expert perspectives. So an ECDEV committee comprised of individuals representing various sectors of the business community would enhance the quality and information of recommendations being relayed to council. And I would argue that the council would be empowered to make better economic decisions if it is more closely advised by business experts in the community. And the key word being in the community. I'll give you a very small example on this point there. So in my private life, I do have I'm a small business owner here. Even though I can bring business knowledge to the committee, I'm a certain tier of business. And so personally, I think it would be helpful to have more members from different tiers of businesses. Because, for example, I don't employ anybody, but I think it would be very helpful to have a voice at the table who is an employer, who is a major employer, so that we are kept up to date about what the general employment situation is in the township, such as the housing situation. Holly, if you could please move down to the next slide. So a big question is, does this give non-elected officials power? You know, we have elections, so why don't we just leave it at that? The short answer is no. The decision makers are the council, not the committees. As everybody knows, in municipal politics, committees can be made up of volunteer, non-elected members. And really the philosophy behind this kind of standing committee is to allow experts and community members to provide meaningful inputs in the municipal process. Again, as I said earlier, I think that this arguably would allow us better access to information and recommendations. If you could please move down to the next slide, Holly. Another question that could be asked, would this create a communication gap between committee and council? So in order to maintain a productive flow of communication before committee and council, it's proposed to include 2 councillors on the committee. So then that way the rest of council has an actual direct link to 2 council members. And I would argue that this proposed format would actually improve communications, because then, you know, it's not like council is is here, and then you have the community there. It really integrates the flow of communication a lot smoother. So if you think of the example with the wayfinding map, and this is just a small example, we did a lot of back and forth, engaging with the community. I would almost argue if we had business representatives or just those kinds of community leaders on the committee, that sort of input would be a lot more quicker and a lot more convenient for the council. Holly, if you could please go down to the next slide. So who would choose the committee members? An economic terms of reference is an opportunity for council to appoint a volunteer group of experts to become an advisory committee. The council will ultimately decide which community members are accepted to the committee. The selection, depth, and thoroughness of the recruitment process is a decision of council. So that's really for us to decide. Should we decide to pursue this or not? So really, it's I think council can still operate as it always does, and after all, council is the one that would be choosing the members of the committee. Holly, if you could please move down to the next slide. And again, the link to this presentation is bongo.blog/TOR. Here are 3 other examples of terms of references that are used by other rural townships. Now, I should mention that we are very unique, and what I've learned is that we, for example, Hastings County, Hastings Highlands, they have like an overseeing county that really helps with economic development. So if you do explore and take a look at any of these, just keep that in mind. I'm not suggesting that we copy exactly what these other townships do, but instead use their model and adapt it to what works for us. Okay, and my final slide, if you can just move down to that, please. Super. So in summary, economic terms of reference would bolster the township's economic development program. The motive of this proposal is to create a community-based approach to economic development in the township. On top of that, economic terms of reference would also equip the council with the most ideal advisory committee so that at the end of the day, we can make the best decisions with the best information. And that is, that's the extent of my presentation. I thank you everybody for listening. I'm very happy to take any questions or comments. And if there are none, then we could talk about it at a later date.
Can I mention? I'd like to thank you for putting that forward, Bongo. I think it is important that we do take note from our business members and our people that are interested in economic development within the township. How we do it is another issue. We just have to be very careful how we do this. But to actually take interest and allow them to take interest, I think is very, very important. It's just the mode of how we go about it that I'm concerned about. Thank you.
For sure, absolutely, yeah. And I mean, this is a subject for the whole of council to discuss. And again, I'm literally pitching an idea, and I welcome any kind of feedback whatsoever, and as long as it is honest. Super. Okay. So that concludes the new business portion of this presentation. And if there are no further comments, we can move on to number 7, adjournment. Can we have a person to initiate the motion? Oh,
excuse me, Councillor Bongo.
Please go ahead.
Just before we do that, I want to apologize a bit because I think I got some news through the meeting that left me distracted the rest of the time. And I just want to put a message out there for all the male councillors and all the male viewers on YouTube to get your PSA test done. I just got news a good friend of mine passed away from from prostate cancer this morning, and it's thrown me for a loop.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks,
Sorry to
Joe.
hear
Sorry to hear
Joe.
that, Joe.
Very sorry to hear that.
Sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
Condolences, Joe.
Thank you.
And I'll second that. It's Jane from personal experience. Get them done.
Yes, very important, guys.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Joe, for that PSA. Okay, fantastic. All right, so yeah, with that, I'm looking for somebody to initiate the motion to adjourn our economic development meeting.
I'll motion it.
Okay, we have Councillor Harper with the first, and we're just looking for a seconder.
I'll
I'll
second.
second. Pick a Joe.
I'm not sure which Joe that was, but let's
You
just
can
say it was
pick
for
one.
mayor.
I
Okay,
wrote
I'll pick
down Councillor Vermeer.